There is a profound wisdom in silence, a power in stepping back, a mystery in the one who is no longer readily available. The heart does not fully comprehend value until it experiences absence. When you make yourself scarce, the world begins to notice what it once overlooked. You do not need to force recognition, for the moment you withdraw, appreciation is born. Absence is a teacher that speaks in silence, yet its lessons are often the most profound. When you remove yourself from a situation, from a relationship, or from the lives of those who have taken you for granted, an inevitable shift begins to take place. Those who once overlooked you, who treated your kindness as an expectation rather than a gift, suddenly find themselves confronted with a void they did not anticipate. It is in this void that appreciation is born. They begin to reflect, to long, to understand what they once had, but never truly acknowledged. There is something about human nature that resists gratitude until it is forced to recognize loss. A constant presence breeds familiarity, and familiarity often dulls appreciation. The more accessible you are, the more easily people assume that you will always be there. They lean upon your generosity without a second thought. They drink from the well of your patience without wondering if it will ever run dry. But the moment you withdraw, the illusion of permanence is shattered. They realize that what they assumed was always available can, in fact, be lost. Absence has a way of magnifying worth. What was once ignored becomes deeply missed. The warmth of your companionship, the wisdom of your words, the quiet strength you offered. All these things suddenly stand in stark contrast to the emptiness left behind. Those who were blind to your value when you stood beside them now see it with painful clarity in your absence. They remember the kindness, the sacrifices, the unwavering support, and they begin to recognize that such things are not easily replaced. This is why you must never beg for recognition, never plead for acknowledgment. Your value is not proven by how much you give, but by how deeply you are missed when you are no longer there. Let them feel your absence. Let them wrestle with the consequences of their neglect. If they truly care, they will come to see the truth on their own, and if they do not, then you have lost nothing. For those who never valued you in the first place were never worthy of your presence. The power of absence is not in punishment, but in revelation. It separates the genuine from the false, the loyal from the opportunistic. When you step away, those who truly cherish you will move mountains to bring you back, while those who only took advantage of you will remain where they are. This is the great test, the ultimate unveiling of truth, and through it all you will stand firm, not in desperation, but in quiet confidence, knowing that your worth does not diminish simply because others fail to see it. Space is a mirror in which true value is reflected. When you create distance, whether physical, emotional, or even spiritual, you allow others the time and opportunity to consider who you truly are and what you have meant to them. In the constant noise of life, where people rush from one moment to another, your presence may be drowned out, your kindness assumed, and your sacrifices overlooked. But when you step back, the absence of your voice, your support, and your warmth becomes evident. It is in this quiet separation that clarity begins to form, and what was once taken for granted now demands recognition. People rarely understand the weight of another's presence when it is constant. It is human nature to grow accustomed to blessings, to assume they will always be there. They become blind to the depth of care, effort, and love poured into them, until those things are no longer readily available. Distance forces them to pause, to reflect, and to confront the reality of what they once had in your presence. They may have been distracted by lesser things, but in your absence the fog lifts, and the truth of your worth is revealed. Think of the morning sky before the sun rises, soft, dim, undefined. It is only as the sun ascends, and its light spreads, that the details of the world become clear. In the same way, your absence acts as that rising light, illuminating the value that was hidden beneath familiarity. People begin to recall the times you stood by them when no one else did, the way your words offered comfort, The way your strength carried burdens they never even acknowledged. And with this newfound awareness comes a shift in their hearts. For some, this realization will spark gratitude, a deep longing to restore what was lost. They will reach out, not with shallow words, but with sincerity, having understood through distance what they failed to see in nearness. They will move differently, with greater appreciation, with reverence for what they nearly allowed to slip away. For others, the clarity will serve as a revelation of their own indifference. If they do not miss you, if they do not feel the weight of your absence, then it is confirmation that your presence was never cherished as it should have been. Space does not only bring clarity to others, it brings clarity to you. It shows you who truly values you and who is merely benefiting from your constant availability. It frees you from illusions, from the painful cycle of seeking appreciation where it will never be given. In stepping back, you give yourself the gift of truth. Truth about your relationships, about where you stand, and about the respect you deserve. So do not fear creating distance. It is not an act of cruelty, but an act of wisdom. You are not punishing others. You are allowing them to see, without distraction, what you have meant to them. And more importantly, you are allowing yourself to see who is worthy of the space you choose to fill. Let clarity do its work, and watch as everything changes. Silence is not weakness, nor is it retreat. It is power restrained, wisdom displayed, and truth made undeniable. There comes a time when words lose their weight, when explanations fall upon deaf ears, and when attempts to prove your worth become an exercise in futility. In such moments, silence speaks louder than the most eloquent argument. It carries a weight that words cannot, for while speech may be ignored, silence demands to be noticed. It unsettles, it stirs, and it forces reflection in a way that mere words never could. When you step back and choose silence over explanation, you shift the balance of power. No longer are you at the mercy of another's willingness to hear you out. No longer are you pleading for understanding or recognition. Instead, you allow your absence to become the loudest voice in the room. Those who once dismissed you, who overlooked your value, who assumed you would always be there, suddenly find themselves faced with a void, and in that emptiness they must reckon with what they lost. It is a hard lesson to learn, but not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people are not ready to understand, and others simply do not care to. To pour out your heart, to lay bare your thoughts and feelings, only to be met with indifference or shallow responses, is a burden too heavy to carry. There comes a time when the best answer is none at all. Silence cuts through pretense. It eliminates the need for endless justifications. It is a declaration without words, a statement of dignity and self-respect. Consider how silence operates in nature. When the storm rages, it howls and roars, making its presence undeniable. But when it passes, and silence follows, the weight of its impact lingers. The absence of noise becomes its own message. In the same way, when you withdraw your voice, when you step away from the need to explain yourself, your silence leaves an impression far deeper than any words could. There is great wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to be still. Silence is not surrender. It is often the most strategic move you can make. It forces others to reflect, to question, and to seek answers within themselves. They may wonder why you no longer explain, why you no longer plead, why you no longer fight for their attention or understanding, and in that wondering, they will come to their own revelations. Some will realize their mistake and come to you with renewed appreciation. Others will reveal their indifference, proving that they were never worth the effort to begin with. But silence is not just for them, it is for you as well. In the quiet, you find clarity. You hear your own thoughts more clearly, unhindered by the need to convince others of your worth. You rediscover your strength, your dignity, your independence. You come to see that your value is not determined by another's ability to recognize it, but by the unwavering truth of who you are. So let silence speak when words fail. Let your absence carry the weight that conversations could not. Stand firm in the knowledge that your worth does not need validation. Let them wonder, let them question, let them miss you. and as they sit in the silence of what once was, watch as everything changes. Detachment is not an act of cruelty, nor is it a sign of indifference. It is a revelation. It is in the stepping away that truth is unveiled, in the silence that sincerity is tested. When you remove yourself from a person, a place, or a situation, you give space for reality to surface. Those who only valued your presence for what they could gain will let you go without a second thought, while those who truly cherished you will feel the void of your absence. Too often people mistake availability for necessity. They assume that because you are always present, you will always remain. They take your kindness as a given, your efforts as expected, and your loyalty as something they are entitled to. But when you detach, when you cease to pour into relationships that only drain you, when you withdraw from those who only take but never give, you force a reckoning. You make them confront the truth. Was it you they valued, or merely what you provided? A heart that truly loves, respects, and values you will not let your absence go unnoticed. It will not remain indifferent or unmoved. Those who care will seek you out, not because they need something from you, but because they recognize your worth. They will reflect on the times you were there, the support you gave, the love you poured out, and they will feel the weight of losing that presence. But those who only saw you as convenient, as useful, as an accessory to their own comfort, such people will let you slip away without a word. Detachment is the great separator between the genuine and the false. It exposes those who were only pretending to care. It unmasks those who spoke words of love, but whose actions never aligned with them. It tests friendships, relationships, and even family bonds. It forces you to see things as they truly are, not as you wish them to be. And though the truth can be painful, it is far better to see clearly than to continue living under an illusion. But detachment is not just about seeing the truth in others. It is about seeing the truth in yourself. It is about breaking free from the need for constant validation. When you always remain present, always available, always ready to fix and mend and give, you tie your worth to the approval of others. You make their acknowledgment the measure of your value. But when you step back, when you detach, you learn a powerful lesson. You are whole on your own. Your worth does not decrease because someone fails to recognize it. It is in the absence of noise that clarity comes. When you remove yourself from the distractions of shallow relationships and one-sided connections, you create space for deeper reflection. You begin to understand who truly matters in your life and who was merely passing through. You stop seeking to be understood by those who refuse to listen. You stop chasing those who do not see you. Instead, you stand firm in the truth of who you are, allowing only those who genuinely value you to remain. Detachment also teaches the power of self-respect. When you allow yourself to be mistreated, overlooked, or taken for granted, you send a message, whether consciously or not, that you accept such treatment. But when you walk away, when you remove yourself from toxic cycles, you reclaim your dignity. You set a standard not only for how others treat you, but for how you treat yourself. You begin to understand that love is not about proving your worth, but about sharing it with those who recognize it. And though detachment may feel lonely at first, it is not a loss. It is a filter. It removes the ones who were never truly for you. It clears the way for real, meaningful relationships. It ensures that those who remain in your life are there because they choose to be, not because of obligation or convenience. You are no longer bound by the fear of losing people, because you have already faced that possibility and discovered something greater, peace, clarity. In time, detachment becomes a strength. It becomes a shield against manipulation, against emotional exhaustion, against being used and discarded. You no longer pour yourself out for those who refuse to pour back into you. You no longer beg to be seen, heard, or valued. Instead, you stand firm, letting those who truly care prove themselves. You stop forcing connections, stop clinging to what is meant to fade, and stop chasing what does not wish to be caught. So detach. Step back. Remove yourself from the people and situations that drain you, and in that space, in that silence, watch as everything becomes clear. The ones who truly love you will remain. The ones who only pretended will fade. And you, stronger, wiser, freer, will finally see the truth. Growth is an undeniable force, and when you step away from the noise, the expectations, and the distractions, it becomes evident to all who once overlooked you. When you cease to be constantly available, constantly bending, constantly seeking approval, something remarkable happens. You begin to transform. The woman they once knew, the one who always put herself last, who tolerated disrespect, who dimmed her light to make others comfortable, begins to evolve into someone entirely different. And though they may not acknowledge it at first, they will see it. Growth is not something that must be announced. It is not something that requires explanation or justification. It simply happens. Like a tree stretching its roots deeper into the soil, like a river carving its way through stone, your evolution takes place in silence, but its impact is undeniable. Those who once took you for granted, who assumed you would always remain the same, are forced to confront a reality they did not anticipate. You are no longer who you used to be. The absence of your presence allows your transformation to become a mirror for those who failed to value you. When you were near, they saw only what they wanted to see. They dismissed your worth because they were accustomed to it, treating your kindness as a given, your time as something they were entitled to. But when you withdraw, when you focus on yourself, when you begin to grow in strength and wisdom, they are left wondering, what happened? Where did she go? And more importantly, why does she no longer need us? You see, when you are always present, people do not have the opportunity to witness your evolution. They see you as they always have, through the lens of familiarity, through the assumptions they built about you. But when you remove yourself, when you dedicate time to your own growth, when you stop explaining and start living, you shatter those old perceptions. They are forced to acknowledge that you have changed, and that realization can be unsettling. Some will be inspired by your growth. They will see the strength, the confidence, the self-respect radiating from you, and they will be moved to reflect on their own lives. They will admire your ability to step away, to prioritize yourself, to break free from cycles that once held you captive. But others, those who benefited from your softness, from your lack of boundaries, will not celebrate your growth. Instead, they will resist it. They will try to undermine it, to question it, to make you doubt yourself. But growth is not about them. It is not about their comfort, their approval, or their opinions. Growth is about you. It is about stepping into the fullness of who you are meant to be, without hesitation, without apology. It is about recognizing that you are no longer bound by the expectations that once limited you. You are no longer seeking permission to evolve. You are simply becoming. And the beauty of true growth is that it is undeniable. It does not require validation. It does not beg for recognition. It simply exists, like the rising of the sun, like the changing of the seasons. Those who once dismissed you will be left in quiet astonishment. They will see the confidence in your posture, the wisdom in your words, the peace in your presence. And though they may not say it out loud, they will know they underestimate you. But this journey of growth is not just for them to see, it is for you to experience. It is for you to wake up one day and realize that you are no longer bound by the fears that once held you captive. It is for you to walk into rooms with the certainty that you belong. It is for you to speak with authority, to move with purpose, to love yourself without condition. Growth also brings a sobering realization. Not everyone can come with you. Not everyone will celebrate your evolution. Some will try to pull you back into the version of yourself that they were comfortable with. They will remind you of who you used to be, of the mistakes you made, of the times you were weak. But you must not let their fear of your growth become your own. Keep walking, keep evolving, keep stepping into the person you are meant to be. And do not be surprised when those who once overlooked you begin to take notice. They will watch from a distance some with admiration, some with regret, some with envy. But none of it will matter, because by then you will have already moved beyond their reach. You will be too busy living the life you were always meant to live. Respect is not something that can be demanded with words. It is something that is cultivated through actions, presence, and most importantly, absence. When you make yourself constantly available to everyone, you unknowingly lower your value in their eyes. They begin to take you for granted, assuming that no matter how they treat you, no matter what they say or do, you will always be there. But when you step back, when you create distance, when you no longer rush to their every call, something shifts. They begin to realize that your presence was not a right, but a privilege. Scarcity commands attention. It forces people to recognize what they once had but failed to appreciate. Imagine a precious gem that is found in abundance. Its value decreases, for it is common and easily replaced. But a rare stone, one that is not easily obtained, becomes precious, treasured, and sought after. The same is true for your time, your energy, your presence. When you are always within reach, always saying yes, always showing up without hesitation, people stop seeing your worth. But when you withdraw, when you become selective, when you reserve your presence for those who truly deserve it, you gain an aura of value that cannot be ignored. Too often we fear that pulling away will cause others to forget us, that if we are not constantly reminding them of our existence, they will move on without us. But the truth is, those who truly value you will never forget you. They will notice your absence, and in that noticing they will come to respect what they once overlooked. It is only when something is gone that people realize what it meant to them. This is not about playing games or manipulating others. It is about self-respect. It is about refusing to be someone's afterthought. It is about understanding that when you are too available, people grow complacent, assuming that you will always be there no matter how they treat you. But the moment you make yourself scarce, the moment you create space, they are forced to reevaluate their treatment of you. Scarcity does not mean isolation. It does not mean shutting yourself off from the world. It simply means being intentional with your presence. It means recognizing that your time and energy are precious resources, not to be wasted on those who do not appreciate them. It means understanding that if people know they can have you at a moment's notice, they will never truly value what you bring. But if they must seek you, if they must work to maintain your presence in their lives, then they will hold you in higher regard. Consider the way people treat luxury. It is not something that is easily obtained. It is exclusive, set apart, something that must be earned, and because of that it is respected. But what is always available, always easy, always within reach, it is taken for granted. When you make yourself too accessible, you become ordinary in the eyes of others. But when you create boundaries, when you make it clear that your time is valuable, that your presence is not guaranteed, people start to see you differently. Distance also reveals the true nature of people. When you step away, you see who truly values you and who only kept you around for convenience. Those who respect you will notice your absence and make the effort to reach out, to maintain the relationship, to show that they value you. But those who only used you for their own benefit will not bother, and that in itself is an answer. Creating scarcity is not about arrogance. It is about knowing your worth. It is about understanding that you do not have to chase after people to prove your value. Your worth is not determined by how available you are to others, but by how you honor yourself. If people grow distant when you stop overextending yourself, let them. If they do not respect you unless you are bending over backward for them, then they never truly respected you in the first place. There is power in being missed. When you pull away, when you focus on yourself, when you stop giving so much of yourself to those who do not reciprocate, you send a message. I know my value, and I will not waste it on those who do not. That message is not spoken with words, but with action, and it is far more powerful than any explanation you could give. Respect is not built by being endlessly accommodating. It is built by having standards, by setting boundaries, by making it clear that your presence is not something to be taken lightly. And the moment people realize that they cannot access you whenever they please, they begin to value you in a way they never did before. Some will say that withholding yourself is unkind, that true love means always being available, always giving, always saying yes. But love without respect is not love at all. True relationships are built on mutual appreciation, and appreciation is fostered when people understand that your time and presence are not infinite commodities. The ones who are meant to be in your life will never take your scarcity as rejection. They will see it for what it truly is, a sign that you know your worth, that you are not afraid to walk away from anything that does not honor you. And those who do not understand, they were never meant to have access to you in the first place.